Hi, this is Dr. Justin Marchegiani here, and today's talk is going to be on adrenal fatigue and exercise. So this is a really important concept. Exercise is an important thing to add to your daily life. We just want to make sure it's not causing a problem and it's actually supporting you. So let's go over some of the benefits of exercise. Brain stimulation is really important. What I mean by that is 90% of the communication going to the brain actually happens at the joint receptor. So let's just use my finger joint as an example. When I bend that joint, we're getting proprioceptive or mechanoreceptive input up to the brain. It's telling us we're moving. That input actually helps with plasticity. It helps the neurons in the brain connect. So it's really important that we have stimulation there to help provide the growing of various neurons. Also, we improve movement patterns. Again, if you're an athlete, you want to have good movement patterns and you have to move to be a good tennis player. You have to practice your swing, practice your putt, practice your kick or your throw, whatever sport you're in, to be good at it. So it's actually a learned skill that you have to do. And the only way you can do it is via exercise. Also, if you're just your everyday person that has chronic pain or back pain or neck pain, again, usually there are compensation patterns. So there are poor ways that you're moving, usually because of the ways that you're in pain, the poor movement patterns, the old injuries have caused different movements that are basically your body trying to compensate from imbalances in the muscles or imbalances in your body's ability to absorb force. So when that happens, again, you're going to be in pain. So addressing the movement patterns, whether you're bending at the back versus hinging at the hips, that can cause you pain. So we definitely want to work on that. That's a nice benefit of exercise. So we don't want to ignore that. Again, improving body composition. Using exercise to improve anabolic hormones to burn fat and improve muscle. And again, anabolic hormones there, we already mentioned that. So we'll see a higher amount of growth hormone, progesterone, and testosterone depending on the sex. So again, let's connect the dots here to adrenal fatigue. So your adrenals, if they're functioning on the lower side, and what I mean by that is typically when we see less than 23 units of cortisol, I think the metric is picograms per ml, when we see less than 23 units, that's a sign of what's known as stage 3 adrenal fatigue. Just the inability to deal with stress, the inability to stabilize blood sugar, the inability to help with inflammation in the body, and that can cause problems. So we want to make sure this side of the equation, we're not doing too much to overstimulate our adrenals. When we whip our adrenals, it's like whipping a tired horse. At some point, that horse is just going to lie down and not going to go where you want to go. So looking at that, we want to make sure the exercise is correct for the adrenal levels. So typically, with healthy adrenals, exercise isn't much of a problem. Again, if we're under producing cortisol, that stage 3 level, we have to ask ourselves 3 questions. These are the most important questions. 1, do you feel energized after your exercise? You should feel energized. You should feel good. If you don't feel energized, how do you feel afterwards regarding, can you repeat the movement? Can you repeat about 5 or 10 minutes later, once your heart rates come down, could you repeat it if you had to? And then last but not least, number 3, the next day. How do you feel the next day? Do you feel like you got run over? Do you feel really fatigued and tired? Well, if you do, that's probably a sign you're doing too much. Now, again, the next day, it's okay to feel a little sore, especially if it's your first time moving in a while, but you shouldn't feel fatigued. You shouldn't feel tired. If you are, you're probably doing a little too much. So I recommend curtailing the intensity, how hard you work during that exercise bout, curtail the duration, how much you're doing it, to basically being able to answer positively for each of those 3 questions. Yeah, I feel energized. Yeah, I could repeat. Yes, I feel okay the next day too. As long as you can do that, then you can customize the frequency and duration. I find that you can pretty much keep your intensity high. It's just cutting down the duration. So if you're doing a 60-minute CrossFit session and you're feeling fatigued afterwards, well, cut it in half. See how you do. If you still feel good, maybe add 10 minutes to it. Find out what that threshold is for you. And if you're severely adrenal fatigued, start with walking. A gentle breathing, meditative walk, or start with Qigong or Tai Chi. These are simple exercises you can do that are more restorative based, more energizing based, and you can just Google them and get some easy free movements right online. So I hope this talk was helpful. And again, just kind of touching base here, your adrenals, they sit right on top of your kidneys, and they produce DHEA, that's the sex hormone, the anabolic side, some female and male hormones such as progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, and then we make a lot of our aldosterone, which helps stabilize our minerals in our bloodstream and keep our blood pressure adequate. A lot of people, they get fatigued when they stand up fast. That can be a sign of adrenal fatigue. And then also our cortisol. So that kind of gives you the full spectrum of what your adrenals are doing. And again, just make sure you're answering those 3 questions properly. If you are, then you probably have some good exercise down there. I strongly recommend avoiding the long duration steady state cardio, as that's really working on the cortisol pathways. So if you're already having some fat issues around the tummy, that's usually where the cortisol receptors are, or you're fatigued and having blood sugar swings and mood swings, then focus more on the high intensity, short duration movement in a burst or interval training or a circuit resistant training type of exercise workout. I hope this information was found helpful, and for more information, click below the tab there to find out where my websites are and my other blogs and YouTube channels are. Thanks. Have a great day.